So you should have your graph done, you should have your data table completed, and if so, you are ready to do the written part. Again, the guiding question we were looking at was, how does light impact the rate of photosynthesis? So if you recall, we had 1 cup that you were getting data from. It was placed in the light. I had some data that I shared with you. It was a cup placed in the dark. So light, dark. How does the light impact the rate of photosynthesis? The rate of photosynthesis was measured by how many leaf cutouts were floating as time went on. So the faster they started to float, the faster the rate. If you got some to float, say in 4 minutes, your rate was faster than at my sample data here, 9. I had 2 discs floating at 9 minutes. You would have had a faster rate. Your claim? This is your answer to this question. So based on that data, based on your data here, how would you answer that question? You'll write your answer in this box here. Your evidence. Answer this question. How do the photosynthetic rates of the uncovered cup and covered cup compare? So uncovered cup, this was the light. That is the data you collected. Covered, that was the dark. That was my data. That was the data you got from me. So how do the rates compare? Answer that question. Right here, the second part is you need to actually give me numbers in your data table or your graph that show that this is happening. All right? Provide those numbers. So you might want to say something like light, dark, time, 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 and then you would give me a time, maybe, I don't know, 4, another time for the light, something after 4, maybe like 9, I don't know, and then the number of floating disks. So if you had like 6 floating and like 8 floating, that would tell me how many you had. This is data. Number of floating plant leaves. Repeat for the dark. Ultimately what you're doing is you're trying to show that the light had a rate of this, the dark had a photosynthetic rate of that. Rate would be the number of floating leaves. And they do need to be numbers that prove that that is correct and that your claim is also correct. In your justification, answer these questions. And again, you have some keywords to kind of include: photosynthesis, light, chlorophyll, oxygen. Include those in your discussion. By the way, oxygen, we know that it is a product of photosynthesis. It is made. That is what actually caused the plants to float. Caused the plants to float. And if you look closely at your plants that started to float, you will notice little tiny bubbles attached to them. That is oxygen that has come out of the plant that then started to float. As more oxygen was being produced, the plants rose to the top. So think about how the production of oxygen causing the plants to float would relate in with these other 3 words and include that in your written discussion. Similar to last time, you can do this in 2 different parts. You can have one discussion where you're talking about this, and you can have a second discussion, second paragraph where you're talking about just that part. Or if you want to combine them into one paragraph, that works too. All right? This is the written part. Again, if you are working through any of this and you have questions, please get my attention.